The first click was just confusion. Arthur Lawson stared at the online portal for his wealth management firm, the one he had built from scratch over 20 years. The main client trust account, holding the futures of 36 families, read $0. He clicked refresh. $0. A cold, sharp wire of panic pulled tight in his chest. He clicked on their personal savings. $0. Their retirement fund, the one he'd so carefully managed. $0. He fumbled for his phone, his fingers slick with a sudden, icy sweat. "Celeste," he called out. The silence in their downtown condo was absolute. The only sound was the sterile hum of the empty wine fridge, its door left slightly ajar. That's when he saw it. On the kitchen island, where she used to leave him coffee, was her wedding ring. Next to it, a single, folded note. His hand shook so badly he could barely open it. It wasn't a letter. It was a printout from a crypto wallet transfer, stamped completed. And at the bottom, in her perfect, elegant handwriting, were 6 words: "I've chosen a better financial future." Arthur's breath hitched. He sank onto the leather bar stool, the crypto wallet printout trembling in his grip. He dialed her number. "This number has been disconnected." He immediately called his lead financial advisor, Brenda. "Arthur, you sound awful. Are you okay?" "Brenda," he choked out. "The main trust. Check the main trust account now." He heard a sharp gasp, then frantic typing. "Arthur, it's gone. All of it. The police are here." David Vance called, screaming about his retirement fund. He said he got an anonymous tip. Vance. His oldest, wealthiest client. How? Then his laptop chimed. An email from Celeste. No subject. Just a photo. Her, clinking champagne glasses on a private jet, the interior shining with new wealth. Beside her, grinning with a smugness that turned Arthur's blood to ice, was Damian Vance. David Vance's son. The slick, young junior partner he had personally mentored, the one he'd just trusted with his most premium investment clients. He stared at the screen, the two betrayals locking together like a puzzle. They hadn't just run, they had meticulously planned this. The phone rang again. This time, it was his attorney. "Arthur," his lawyer's voice was grim. "Don't say a word. The authorities are on their way to you, too." The knock was a sharp, official rap that echoed the pounding in his own head. Detectives Riley and Chun were polite, but their questions were like steel traps. "Mr. Lawson, your digital signature authorized the final wire transfers," Riley said, his eyes flat. "Can you explain that?" Arthur's mind raced. Damien. He had used his mentor's credentials. The final, devastating key turn. "That's not. It wasn't me," Arthur stammered, but he sounded exactly like a guilty man. After 4 hours, they let him go, pending a full investigation. His license was suspended. His assets, the few he had left in a small personal account, were frozen. He was the primary suspect in the largest financial scandal the city had seen in years. He walked out of the precinct into the glare of news cameras, a mob of reporters shouting questions about his clients' stolen retirement funds. He pushed through them, a ghost in his own life, and stumbled into a small 24-hour diner. He just sat in a booth, staring at nothing, when a waitress approached. "You look like you're having the worst day in human history," she said, her voice raspy but kind. She slid a cup of coffee toward him. "This one's on the house." He looked up at her, a young woman named Maya, her apron stained. It was the first act of human decency he'd received all day. He just nodded, unable to speak, his world completely gone. He sat for hours, the coffee untouched, watching his face plastered across the diner's small TV. The Chiron read, "Investment Giant's Empire of Deceit." Each broadcast painted him as a cunning predator. When he finally stood, the humiliation hit him again. He went to the register, his wallet useless. I'm afraid I can't pay," he whispered, his voice hoarse. He began to unfasten his watch, the simple, elegant timepiece his father had given him. "Please," he said, holding it out. "It's all I have." Maya looked at the watch, then at his face. She gently pushed his hand back. "Keep it," she said softly. "You look like you need to hold on to the last thing that's really yours." She reached into her own apron, pulled out a few dollars, and rang up the sale herself. "Why?" Arthur asked, his voice raw. "You don't know me. You saw the news." She shrugged, wiping down the counter. The news doesn't tell the whole story. I'm a pretty good judge of character. And you? You look less like a thief and more like a man who just got hit by a train. She handed him a pen and a napkin. My second cousin's a lawyer. He's not fancy, but he's smart. Might be worth a call. Arthur took the napkin, his hand trembling. It wasn't just a number, it was an anchor. 3 days later, Arthur was a different man. His bespoke suit was wrinkled, his face shadowed with stubble. He hadn't slept. The condo association had changed the locks. His car had been repossessed, and every client he'd ever helped now viewed him as a monster. He walked back to the diner, the napkin with the lawyer's number in his pocket, now a crumpled mess. He'd called it, but the lawyer, Ben, said without any money, he couldn't even file the paperwork to fight the freeze. Arthur was destitute. He found Maya clearing tables. "Ma'am," he said, the word feeling foreign. I need a job. Anything. I'll wash dishes. I'll mop floors. I just need to eat." Maya looked at him, her eyes taking in his broken state. She motioned him to the back. The manager, a large, gruff man named Sal, looked him up and down. "You're that crook from the TV?" Sal grunted. "I'm not," Arthur said, his voice quiet but firm. "I'm a man who needs work." Maya chimed in, "He's harmless, Sal. And he looks strong enough to scrub pots. Let's give him a chance." Sal sighed, tossed a dirty apron at him, and pointed to a mountain of greasy pans. "Cash at the end of the night. Mess up, you're out." Arthur put on the apron, the smell of bleach and old food hitting him. The man who once managed billions was now washing dishes for minimum wage. Weeks turned into a grueling month. Arthur's hands, once soft from shuffling papers and shaking hands on multi-million-dollar deals, were now raw, red, and calloused from the scouring pads and industrial bleach. But he never complained. He showed up early. He stayed late. He scrubbed every pot until it gleamed, earning a grudging respect from Sal, who stopped calling him crook and started calling him professor. Maya was his lifeline. She'd share her break with him in the alley, smuggling him an extra biscuit. "You're a good man, Arthur," she'd say. This is just a chapter." One night, he saw Sal hunched over the office desk, head in his hands, surrounded by receipts. "This new payroll software is killing me," Sal muttered, not looking up. "It says I'm over budget on supplies, but the math ain't mathin'." Arthur, drying his hands on his apron, glanced at the open ledger on the computer screen. In less than 2 seconds, he saw the flaw. A simple data entry error, a misplaced decimal point in a recurring invoice, was costing the diner thousands. He hesitated, the words on the tip of his tongue. He was just the dishwasher. But he was also Arthur Lawson. "Sal," Arthur said quietly, pointing at the screen, "you're not over budget. Your vendor software is multiplying your net 30 invoice by the sales tax before applying your bulk discount, not after. It's a simple order of operations flaw." Sal squinted at him, then at the screen. "In English, professor?" Arthur gently took the mouse. "You're being overcharged by about $2,800 a month." He clicked through 3 screens, his fingers flying across the keyboard with a forgotten elegance. He made the adjustment. The red deficit warning vanished, replaced by a green surplus number. Sal's jaw went slack. He stared at Arthur, then back at the screen, then back at Arthur. How did you do that?" "It's what I used to do," Arthur said simply. He spent the next hour, his shift long over, cleaning up Sal's entire accounting system. He found uncashed rebates, identified a supplier who was double billing for deliveries, and restructured the payroll data. By 2 a.m., he had recovered nearly $30,000 in lost or mismanaged funds. Sal looked at Arthur, no longer the dishwasher, but the financial wizard from the news. "Maya was right," Sal said, his voice thick. "Kid, I'm paying you the wrong wage." The next morning, Sal handed Arthur a check. "That's for your lawyer," he said. "The one Maya told you about. It's your retainer. Go get your name back." Ben's office was a cramped, dusty room above a pizza parlor, smelling of old paper and oregano. He looked at Sal's check, then at Arthur. "It's a start," Ben said, "but we're fighting an inferno with a water pistol. They've buried you, Arthur. They're claiming you orchestrated the whole thing to flee the country and just got caught." Arthur sat forward, his eyes clear for the first time in weeks. "They made a mistake," he said, his voice low and intense. They were too arrogant. Celeste left that crypto transfer note on purpose. It was a taunt. And Damien thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. He wouldn't just vanish into the digital ether. He'd want to use the money. Buy things. Prove he won. He laid it out for Ben, not as a victim, but as the financial expert he was. They used a synthetic identity, spoofing my credentials from a burner device to authorize the transfers. But they moved it through crypto as a smokescreen. I need you to file for discovery on Damien's offshore shell companies. But I need something else. I need a computer. A powerful one. Ben raised an eyebrow. I need to trace that wallet. It's a public ledger. She wanted me to look. She wanted to brag. And I'm going to find the first transaction out of that wallet. That's where he got sloppy. When Arthur left the office, Maya was waiting on the steps, holding 2 coffees. How'd it go, Professor? She asked. He took the cup, their fingers brushing. It's a start, he said, managing a small, tired smile. Thank you, Maya, for everything. The diner was dark, the only light coming from the glowing monitor in Sal's back office. The smell of stale coffee and onions hung in the air. Arthur sat hunched over the keyboard, Ben on one side, Maya on the other, watching the lines of code and wallet addresses blur across the screen. It's all noise, Ben muttered, rubbing his eyes. He's using a tumbler. It's a digital laundry. He is, Arthur agreed, his voice a low hum of concentration. But he's arrogant. He's not just hiding, he's showing off. He's moving too fast. His fingers paused, hovering over a single, anomalous transaction. It wasn't a transfer to another wallet. It was a conversion to a stablecoin, used to purchase a digital asset. What is it? Maya whispered. It's a boat. Arthur breathed, his eyes narrowing. He bought a boat. A Celestial Sun 70-foot yacht from a premium brokerage in Miami. He navigated away from the blockchain to the brokerage's public sales ledger. Paid in full. For $0.8 million. Ben groaned. So he has a boat. It's registered to a shell company in the Caymans. We still can't touch him. He got sloppy, Arthur said, a cold, sharp thrill in his voice. He wasn't looking at the shell company's name. He was looking at the insurance policy. To insure a vessel that size, you need a primary policy holder. He wouldn't risk putting it in his own name. But Celeste. He typed in her full maiden name, Celeste Walker, and ran a public records search. She registered a new LLC 3 weeks ago. CW Futures. It's the primary insured on the vessel. But look at the secondary contact. The one for emergency maintenance. His finger tapped the screen. The name listed was DM Vance. He didn't even use an alias, Arthur whispered. He put his own initials on the insurance. We've got him. The Celestial Sun glittered under the Miami sun, a monument to stolen wealth. But the party ended abruptly when federal agents, led by a grim-faced Detective Riley, stepped onto the deck. The insurance policy, bearing Damien's arrogant initials, was the thread that unraveled everything. Celeste, draped in diamonds, dropped her champagne flute. Damien, posturing in front of his new high-wealth contacts, sputtered as the handcuffs clicked shut. The digital trail Arthur had followed was irrefutable. It led the authorities to every hidden account, every shell company, every stolen dollar. The news report a week later was a national sensation. Arthur Lawson was fully exonerated. His license was reinstated. David Vance, Damien's father, issued a tearful public apology, begging Arthur to take back his accounts. The whole financial world waited, expecting Arthur to return to his penthouse and his billion-dollar portfolio. But Arthur didn't. Instead, the internet exploded over a photo posted by a local blogger. It was Arthur, outside the diner, shaking hands with Sal. The caption read, "Sal sold the diner. Guess who the new owner is?" But that wasn't what left the internet speechless. It was Arthur's first act as owner. He established the Second Chance Fund, a fully funded, premium investment portfolio for the diner's entire staff. He personally funded it with the $30,000 he had recovered from Sal's books, now grown tenfold through his own smart, fast investments. He guaranteed college for their kids and a secure retirement for them all. The man they tried to destroy had responded not by reclaiming his old throne, but by building a new future for the people who showed him kindness. In the final shot, Arthur sits in a simple booth, a simple coffee in hand. Maya slides in across from him, no longer his witness, but his partner. He slides a small key across the table. The apartment upstairs is nice, he says, his smile warm. But it needs a good manager. She covers his Han.